Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India's President Draupadi Murmu addresses both houses of the Parliament, says India is emerging as a provider of solutions to issues faced by the world. Economic Survey 2022-23 presented in both the Houses of Parliament envisages Indian economy to grow at 6.5% in 2023-24. Union Budget of India for financial year 2023-24 to be presented in Lok Sabha on Wednesday. Foreign Secretary Quatra and U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs Nuland co-chair the annual India-U.S. Foreign Office consultations in New Delhi. IMF approves $4.7 billion loan for Bangladesh. Death toll in mosque blast in Pakistan rises to 100. Rescue operation concludes. France hit by second nationwide strike against pension reform. And in sports, India to take on New Zealand in third and final T20 International in Ahmedabad on Wednesday. India's President Draupadi Murmu on Tuesday asserted that India has a stable, fearless and decisive government which is working towards realizing big dreams. Addressing the joint sitting of both the Houses of Parliament on the first day of budget session at the Central Hall, the President said, surgical strike, firm crackdown on terrorism, befitting response to every misadventure from LOC and LAC, abrogation of Article 370 and triple talaq are the examples of a decisive government. The President said, the country has a government that respects the honest and works to solve the problems of the poor and empower them permanently. She stressed the need to build a nation by 2047 which not only embraces its glorious past but also encompasses every golden aspect of modernity. On India's growing stature in the world, President Murmu said the people have witnessed many positive changes for the first time during the tenure of this government. She said, India, which once looked to others for solutions to most of its problems, is today emerging as a provider of solutions for the issues faced by the world. Talking about India's G20 presidency, the President said, with the mantra of one earth, one family, one future, the country is attempting to find collective solutions to the current global challenges in collaboration with the G20 member countries. She added that India has expanded its role, keeping its national interests paramount. The Economic Survey of India 2022-23 has projected a baseline GDP growth of 6.5% in real terms in the next financial year. The survey was presented in both the Houses of Parliament by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. According to the survey, the Indian economy is expected to grow at 7% in real terms in the current financial year. It also said India will remain the fastest growing major economy in the world. The survey said India has become the world's fifth largest economy and the nominal GDP of India will be around $3.5 trillion in March this year. The survey stated that the rise in consumer prices has slowed considerably. According to the survey, the annual rate of inflation is below 6% and wholesale prices are rising at a rate below 5%. India's agriculture sector has been witnessing robust growth with an annual average growth rate of 4.6% over the last 6 years. The Economic Survey 2022-23 said that this has enabled agriculture and allied activities sector to contribute significantly towards country's overall growth, development and food security. It said in recent years, the country has emerged as the net exporter of agricultural products with exports touching a record over $50 billion in 2021-22. The survey attributes the sector's growth and buoyancy to the measures taken by the government to augment crop and livestock productivity, ensure certainty of returns to the farmers through price support and focused interventions to enhance credit availability. The survey observes that these interventions are in line with the recommendations of the committee on doubling of farmers' income. The survey points out that 11.3 crore farmers received income support from the government under the April to July 2022-23 cycle of PM Kisan. The government has set a target of 18.5 lakh crore rupees in agricultural credit flow in 2022-23. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday said that the Economic Survey presents a comprehensive analysis of India's growth trajectory. Sharing the Economic Survey on Twitter, Mr. Modi said these include the global optimism towards the nation, focus on infra, growth in agriculture, industries and emphasis on futuristic sectors. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget for the financial year 2023-24 in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday at 11 a.m. The copy of the budget will be laid on the table of the Rajya Sabha soon thereafter. A meeting of the Union Cabinet will be held in the morning to approve the Union Budget 2023-24. After getting the nod from the Cabinet, Ms. Sitharaman will present the Union Budget in Parliament. Ahead of the presentation of the budget, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the world is looking towards India's budget in the present global headwinds. He also said India's budget is an attempt to meet the hopes and aspirations of the common citizens. He expressed confidence that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will try to meet those aspirations.
आज के वैश्विक परिस्थिति में भारत के बजट के तरफ न सिर्फ भारत का लेकिन पूरे विश्व का ध्यान है। डावाडोल विश्व की आर्थिक परिस्थिति में भारत का बजट भारत के सामान्य मानवी की आशा आकांक्षाओं को तो पूरा करने का प्रयास करेगा ही, लेकिन विश्व जो आशा की किरण देख रहा है उसे वो और अधिक प्रकाशमान नजर आए। मुझे पूरा भरोसा है निर्मला जी इन अपेक्षाओं को पूर्ण करने के लिए भरपूर प्रयास करेंगी।
The two-day meeting of the International Financial Architecture Working Group under the Indian G20 presidency concluded in Chandigarh on Tuesday. Addressing the media, Economic Advisor Department of Economic Affairs Anu P. Mathai said the meeting deliberated on various issues including strengthening and reforming multilateral development banks. She said the meeting saw participation of nearly 100 delegates from G20 member countries, invitee countries and international organizations, which demonstrates the strong commitment of the global community to support India's G20 presidency. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has lauded the utilization of India-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement CEPA by Indian exporters. Sharing a tweet by Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, the Prime Minister said that it is a great sign for Indian enterprise. He added that it will make Indian products popular globally. India's Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla on Tuesday said India and Germany are playing an important role in tackling emerging global challenges. A delegation of the German Parliament Bundestag called on the Lok Sabha Speaker at Parliament House. Referring to the long-standing ties between India and Germany, Mr. Birla said that the ties between the two countries are based on shared values and common goals. The Speaker appreciated the contribution of German parliamentarians in strengthening parliamentary relations between the two countries. He added that India and Germany have a strategic partnership since 2000. He said this has been further strengthened through consultations between heads of government since 2011. He expressed happiness that the current German government has held consultative talks with India, which is a commendable initiative for bilateral relations between the two countries. He further said that India wants to further strengthen the parliamentary cooperation between the two countries. Mr. Birla also mentioned the convergence of views of India and Germany in upholding democratic values, rules-based international order, multilateralism and reform of multilateral institutions. He added that India is the largest democracy in the world. He stated that India has a centuries-old democratic heritage due to which it is known as the mother of democracy around the world. Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra and U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland co-chaired the annual India-U.S. Foreign Office consultations in New Delhi on Tuesday. Foreign Office consultations was an opportunity to continue discussions held during Foreign Secretary's visit to the U.S. in October last year. Both sides reviewed progress made towards further consolidating the India-U.S. Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. Discussions also covered contemporary regional developments in South Asia, Indian Ocean region and the Indo-Pacific. The two sides reiterated their commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific with the objective of ensuring peace, stability and prosperity in the region. Foreign Secretary Quatra and Under Secretary Nolan took stock of a number of initiatives and frameworks that reflect common strategic interests. These include Quad, I2U2, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, and the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative. Both sides agreed to work together during India's ongoing G20 presidency. They also agreed to intensify cooperation in multilateral fora and international organizations, including the UN, on global issues of mutual interest. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Ms. Nuland. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said they had a good talk on the Indian subcontinent, the Indo-Pacific, and the convergences in Indo-US relationship. The International Monetary Fund IMF Executive Board on Monday approved a total of $4.7 billion loan for Bangladesh. It includes $3.3 billion under the Extended Credit Facility ECF and Extended Fund Facility EFF and $1.4 billion under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility RSF. The fund will be disbursed to Bangladesh over a period of 42 months to support Bangladesh's economic policies. Bangladesh is the first country in Asia to receive financing under the RSF. According to the IMF statement released on Tuesday, the approval of ECF-EFF enables immediate disbursement of $476 million to the country. The IMF commended Bangladesh for its robust economic recovery from the pandemic, which was interrupted by the Russia-Ukraine war, leading to a widening of current account deficit and decline in foreign exchange reserve in the country. The IMF said that the authorities in Bangladesh realize the need to address long-standing structural issues and vulnerabilities related to climate change to attract private investment and enhance productivity. Responding to the IMF decision to provide $4.7 billion loan to Bangladesh, Finance Minister AHM Mustafa Kamal told the media that loan approval also proves that the fundamental areas of the country's economy are standing on a solid foundation and are better than many other countries. Australia's High Commissioner to India, Barry O'Farrell AO, has expressed anguish over the pro-Khalistani group's attack on Indians carrying the tricolour at Fed Square in Melbourne. In a tweet on Tuesday, he stated that Australia's commitment to peaceful protest does not extend to violence. Meanwhile, Indian High Commissioner to Australia, Manpreet Vohra, visited the Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple in Melbourne on Tuesday and condemned the vandalization of the temple by pro-Khalistani elements. And now in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India's host G20 Startup Engagement Group and International Financial Architecture Working Group meetings.
The G20 Startup 20 Engagement Group held its inception meeting in Hyderabad, featuring delegates from G20 nations and 9 special invitees from observer countries, representatives and multilateral organizations, as well as Indian startup ecosystem. The group was formed under G20 after India assumed the group's presidency. The meeting focused on creating a global narrative for supporting startups and fostering synergies between startups, corporates, investors, innovation agencies and other key ecosystem stakeholders. Startup 20 India Chair Dr. Chintan Vaishnav stated that as the world's third largest startup ecosystem, India is well positioned to lead the charge in supporting innovative startups, particularly in the sectors of global importance. The Startup 20 Engagement Group will work to harmonize the global startup ecosystem through consensus-based definitions and promote a global community of knowledge sharing among startup ecosystems to explore opportunities. The group also bridged the knowledge gap between the startup ecosystems of G20 member countries and emerging economies through partnerships with enablers such as incubators and government agencies. The Startup 20 had 3 main task forces: the Foundation and Alliance Task Force, Finance and Inclusion, and Sustainability. The Foundation and Alliance Task Force worked on harmonizing the global startup ecosystem through consensus-based definitions and to promote a global community of knowledge sharing among the startup ecosystems to explore opportunities. It also bridged the knowledge gap between the startup ecosystems of G20 member countries and emerging economies through partnerships for enabling more industry players across G20 nations to work with startups and concrete solutions. It aims to create supportive policies for industry players and government organizations to work with startups and provide points of contact for the participating G20 countries' sustained collaboration. The key deliverables of Startup 20 included the official policy communique, a startup handbook with a set of commonly agreed upon definitions and terminologies, a global innovation center to foster collaborations across borders, and promotion of Startup 20 as a global point of contact for startup ecosystems worldwide. Meanwhile, the first International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting of G20 under the chairmanship of India has begun in Chandigarh. The meeting was inaugurated by the Union Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar and Food Processing Industries Minister Pashupati Kumar Paras. The International Financial Architecture Working Group is one of the important working groups under the G20 Finance Track, which focuses on strengthening the international financial architecture. It will also aim to address various challenges faced by vulnerable countries. Around 100 delegates from G20 member nations, invited countries and international organizations are participating in the two-day meeting. Discussions during the two-day meeting would be jointly moderated by the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank of India, as well as by the co-chairs of the International Financial Architecture Working Group, France and South Korea. The meeting is expected to discuss ways to enhance the stability and cohesion of the international financial architecture and how to make it capable of addressing the global challenges of the 21st century. The meeting focused on finding ways to maximize aid to poor and vulnerable countries. On the sidelines of the G20 Working Group meetings on January 30th, a G20 event titled Central Bank Digital Currencies (CBDCs) Opportunities and Challenges would also be held. The objective of the event is to share country experiences and develop a deeper understanding of the wider implications of the CBDCs. Prior to this meeting, a number of events have been organized across the city in Chandigarh, indicating the widespread people's participation and interest in the G20 events under India's chairmanship. As a precursor, a seminar on central bank digital currencies, The Indian Story, was organized in Chandigarh on the 25th of January 2023. The events are aimed at creating awareness about India's chairmanship of the G20 in 2023 and its theme, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or One Earth, One Family, One Future. During India's G20 presidency, this working group will meet further in March, June and September to continue discussions on the priorities set under India's presidency. The discussions at the International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting will inform the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors, FMCBGs, on key deliberations on related priorities under India's G20 finance track. The first G20 Energy Transition Working Group ETWG meeting under India's presidency will be held in Bengaluru from February 5th to 7, 2023. The meeting will have over 150 participants, including G20 member countries, 9 special invitee guest countries: Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, the Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, UAE and Spain. Nishit Kumar for World News, All India Radio.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. The death toll in the Peshawar Police Lines Mosque blast has risen to 100 as the rescue operation to retrieve bodies from the debris of the mosque concluded on Tuesday. The toll of the injured has reached at least 221. The blast took place at the mosque during afternoon prayers of Monday, when a large number of people had gathered for prayer, including police jawans. According to security officials, the suicide attacker was present in the front row during the prayers when he blew himself up. The terror outfit Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) claimed responsibility for the blast. India extended its condolences to the families of the victims of the terror attack. In a tweet, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said, India strongly condemns the attack which has taken the lives of so many people. A meeting of the Quad Senior Cyber Group was held in New Delhi to strengthen cybersecurity cooperation. The Quad Senior Cyber Group principals, along with their inter-agency delegations, met in New Delhi on Monday and Tuesday to discuss collective approach to enhance the cybersecurity cooperation and resilience. Cybersecurity is one of the key areas identified by the Quad leaders in advancing a free and open Indo-Pacific that is inclusive and resilient. During the meeting, participants discussed sharing threat information, identifying and evaluating potential risks in supply chains for digitally enabled products and services, and aligning baseline software security requirements. The group also discussed building cybersecurity capacity for Quad members and for partners in the Indo-Pacific region. Over the last 2 days, this group discussed how Quad members could prevent cyber incidents and prepare national and international capabilities for protection and as well as response to such cyber incidents. In Sri Lanka, former President Maithripala Sirisena has said that he will contest next presidential elections from Sri Lanka Freedom Party SLFP. The presidential elections are scheduled to be held in September 2024. Speaking to reporters in Colombo, the former president apologized to the victims of the 2019 Easter Sunday attack which had taken place during his tenure. Mr. Sirisena added that the Supreme Court had not said that he had committed an offence but held him accountable for the offences committed by officers appointed by him as the president. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka had ruled that Mr. Sirisena-led the government had failed to prevent the tragedy despite having credible information. Accordingly, he was ordered to pay a compensation of 100 million Sri Lankan rupees to the victims. US President Joe Biden has ruled out sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine despite renewed calls from Ukrainian officials for air support. His comment comes a day after Germany's leader also ruled out sending fighter jets. Ukraine has said it needs the jets to take control of its airspace in its ongoing war with Russia. F-16 Fighting Falcons are widely considered one of the world's most reliable fighter jets. They would be a significant upgrade on the Soviet-era fighting jets Ukraine is currently using. However, Mr. Biden has repeatedly rebuffed Ukraine's pleas for the jets, instead focusing on providing military support in other areas. The US announced last week that it would supply Kyiv with 31 Abrams tanks, with the UK and Germany also pledging similar support. A nationwide strike is underway in France and in a second wave of protests against President Emmanuel Macron's plans to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. 8 big unions are taking part in the strike. Protesters are taking place across France after the first day of action attracted more than 1 million people. Half the country's teachers were reported to have joined the strike. Opinion polls show most French people oppose the reform, but President Macron intends to stand his ground. On Monday, he said the reform was vital to ensure the viability of the pension system. The Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed marginal gains. Index of top 30 companies at Bombay Stock Exchange, Sensex ended above the 59,500 mark. The index of top 50 companies at National Stock Exchange settled above the 17,650 level. Both stock rose even as the cues from the global markets were negative. A report from the business desk.
The Sensex rose 49 points to finish at 59,550. The Nifty 50 also added 13 points to end at 17,662. The global stock markets fell and bond yields edged lower as hotter than anticipated European inflation numbers dampened investor sentiments. Investors also awaited key U.S. economic data like earnings report and central banks' meetings outcome. Asian shares ended with losses. South Korea's Kospi plunged 1.1% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 1%. China's Shanghai Composite Index, Japan's Nikkei, and Singapore's Straits Times indices declined 0.4% each. European shares were also down in intraday trade. Global crude oil prices fell as the prospect of further interest rate increases and ample Russian crude flows outweighed demand recovery expectations from China. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $83.95 per barrel. Back home at the multi-commodity exchange, gold futures for February was trading at 56,670 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for March was trading at 67,980 rupees per kilogram when reports last came in. Rajesh Lake for World News, All India Radio.
In Sri Lanka, headline inflation in Colombo dropped to 54.2% for the month of January. The inflation measured by Colombo Consumer Price Index decreased by 3 percentage points from 57.2% in December 2022. According to the Census and Statistics Department, food inflation has also decreased over 3 percentage points to 60.1% in January 2023 against the previous month. Inflation in Sri Lanka is measured separately for Colombo using CCPI and for the entire island using National Consumer Price Index NCPI. The inflation as measured by NCPI for December 2022 was 59.2%. In Bangladesh, an international seminar on the topic Fake News, a Threat to Democracy and Human Rights was held in Dhaka on Tuesday. Speakers at the seminar said large tech companies need to be brought under regulation to stop spread of fake news. Senior journalist Salim Samad highlighted the fact that new media technology has contributed greatly to the spread of fake news in the world. He advocated social and educational efforts to check the spread of fake news. Noted scholar Professor Abu Barakat analyzed the concept of fake news and concluded that it is not possible to define it objectively. Drawing from incidents like the US elections, Brexit in UK and election of Uhuru Kenyatta in Kenya, Professor Barakat said legal measures, corporate commitments and civil society actions are needed to combat fake news. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Film Festival came to a close on Tuesday in Mumbai. This edition was the biggest ever SCO Film Festival with 58 films from 14 countries being showcased. The closing ceremony saw the winners being declared for the various competition categories. Lyricist and chairperson of Central Board of Film Certification, Prasoon Joshi, and celebrities from the film industry were in attendance. Addressing the audience via video message, India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur congratulated all participants and the jury for successful conduct of the festival. He expressed optimism that the exchange of ideas the festival has witnessed will lead to further cooperation, co-production and co-creation in the field of cinema in the SCO region. In the festival, Marathi film Godavari, directed by Nikhil Mahajan, was judged the best film. Xiaozi Rao, director of Chinese film Homecoming, won the award for the best director. Kazakh actor Askar Ilyasov won the best actor male for Paralympian, while Rano Shodiyeva from Uzbekistan won the Best Actor Female award for The Fate of a Woman. India will take on New Zealand in the third and final T20 International in Ahmedabad on Wednesday. India won the second T20 in Lucknow and leveled the three-match series 1-1. Winning tomorrow's match will help Hardik Pandya's led side to not just win the series but also to maintain its number one ranking. The match will start at 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Financial Times reports France open to sending fighter jets to Ukraine. South China Morning Post writes, Xi Jinping expected to visit Moscow, defying impression of split over Ukraine war. The Japan Times writes, Bolsonaro has no intention of cutting his stay in for Florida short. Le Monde reports, France faces disruption on second day of national protests against pension reform. CNN reports Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro applies for 6 months US tourist visa. Straits Times reports New Zealand PM Hipkins reshuffles cabinet to focus on key election issues, and The Guardian reports northwest Pakistan in grip of a deadly Taliban resurgence. And now, a quick look at the headlines once again. India's President Draupadi Murmu addresses both houses of the parliament, says India is emerging as a provider of solutions to the issues faced by the world. Economic Survey 2022-23 presented in both the houses of parliament envisages Indian economy to grow at 6.5% in 2023-24. Union Budget of India for financial year 2023-24 to be presented in Lok Sabha on Wednesday. Foreign Secretary Quatra and U.S. Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs Nuland co-chair the annual India-U.S. Foreign Office consultations in New Delhi. IMF approves $4.7 billion loan for Bangladesh. Death toll in mosque blast in Pakistan rises to 100. Rescue operation concludes. France hit by second nationwide strike against pension reform. And in sports, India to take on New Zealand in third and final T20 International in Ahmedabad on Wednesday. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Denmark.
Vaishnav Jan tu peene ka hi ek पीड़ पराई जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नाणे रे वैष्णव जन तू तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे सकल लोग ना सहले बंदे.
And with that we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.